branches. Eyeball. Do you remember? This is the cornea. This is sclera. And here, by posterior polar, do you see, into the eyeball enters the ciliary artery. Ciliary artery subdivides into the very, very compact capillary net. And this capillary, some branches of this capillary net enter into the ciliary body. Some branches enter into the iris. But here, do you see this capillary net is placed very, very compactly. Do you see? And it is called chorioid part. Chorioid part. Do you see? And listen to me. This is ciliary artery. Ciliary artery produces chorioid part. Did you understand? But from ciliary artery into the retin, by optic disc, do you remember this is blind disc or blind pointing? By optic disc enters from ciliary artery, enters branch. It is called central retin artery. Central retin artery. Listen to me, for your professional life, it is very important. By special ophthalmologic mirror, you will examine the retin in the ophthalmologic clinic, in the ophthalmologic department. And you will see optic disc. No, it has like so soft pink color. And on it is a very contrast, like branches of tree will be division of the central retin artery. If it has spiral way, if its portions are don't have the same diameter, some very wide expand, some are very narrow, you can decide about hypertonia of the patient. Very often high blood pressure. Didn't it? If the therapeutic doctor knows the patient, do you see, which has very often and by long time high pressure, doctor directs for the consultation this patient to the ophthalmologic clinic. Didn't you? Listen to me. Ophthalmic artery, before visit into the orbit, gave meningeal anterior artery. In the orbit, gave the dorsal nasal artery, supraorbital artery, palpebral arteries, lacrimal artery, muscular arteries, the ethmoid anterior and posterior artery, and ciliary artery, which gives central retin artery. Did you see? Listen to me. I begin my explanation. Carotid internal artery gives two groups of the branches, the cranial and cerebral. Cranial branches, carotid and tympanic, because they will go through the opening of the skull into the tympanic cavity, and the ophthalmic artery, which through the optic canal goes into the orbit. Do you see? Only two. Cerebral branches. Look, please here. Give me. This is, do you see, bundle of the carotid internal artery. Do you remember I explained you? Do you see? And here we can see this bundle. And it gives branch in front of into the median cerebral fissure. And look, please here. Here from base begins and directs to the lateral side very deep primary groove, which is called lateral groove. Another artery will go into this groove. And another artery will go inside into the lateral ventricles, and another artery will direct to the back. Now I will draw you. This is the lower side of the frontal lobe. This is lower side of the frontal lobe. Give me another color. This is, do you see, lateral groove which rotates around of the temporal lobe. Do you see? This is lateral groove which rotates around around of the temporal lobe. Listen to me. Here came carotid common artery. I cut it. Do you see? You can see only this bundle. Here, do you see? I cut it. Do you see? This is carotid internal artery. It gave into the median cerebral fissure, do you see, the artery, which is called cerebral anterior. This is from right, this is from left. Cerebral anterior artery. Between cerebral anterior arteries is placed short bridge, which is very important. If this artery will not work, will be, for example, pressed by something, do you see, by broken of the carotid canal on one side, the artery will be pressed. You can see the blood from here, do you see, will come to this side. Did you understand? You can see another artery is very, very biggest. It goes, do you see, bilateral groove to lateral side of the brain. But it is called carotid medial artery. Why it is called? It goes into the lateral groove. Why it is called carotid medial? Because behind of it will be some another arteries. Do you see? Because it is called carotid medial. Listen to me. Carotid and cerebral medial, excuse me. This is cerebral anterior, this is communication anterior, this is cerebral medial. You can see carotid internal gave cerebral anterior. Cerebral anterior right and left, they connect by communication anterior. This will be cerebral medial. Listen to me. Cerebral anterior, this is medial side of the hemisphere. You see, it supplies frontal lobe and parietal lobe. And if it lies above the callosum body, it supplies callosum body. By our order, about short distance. Cerebral anterior artery, do you see, it supplies the medial side of the frontal and parietal lobe. Cerebral medial artery, look here, it goes by lateral groove. It supplies from all sides temporal lobe, and it supplies from lateral side frontal and parietal. Do you remember precentral gyrus, general motor center, postcentral gyrus, general sensory center? If, do you see, will be in your life, you will contact with this very often. If will be problem, clot, or do you see pressing, do you see, or distraction, do you see, of the carotid, of the cerebral medial artery, will be paralysis. Did you understand? Another artery enters inside into the lateral ventricle, By incomplete lines, I want to show you it goes inside. Do you see? It is called carotid artery. Carotid artery, do you see, along of it will be vein, about which we will speak, do you see, later. And they are covered by epithelial cells, Carotid artery, carotid vein, and epithelial cells, they are called carotid plexus. Plexus chorioideus, it produces cerebral fluid. And another artery, it is called communication posterior. Communication anterior is unpair. Do you see? Communication posterior is pair. Do you see? These are branches cerebral of the carotid internal artery. Listen with attention. Carotid internal artery gives cerebral branches. They are cerebral anterior with communication anterior, because communication anterior is not concrete branch of the carotid internal. Cerebral anterior with communication anterior, cerebral medial, carotid, and communication posterior. Break. 20 minutes.